Strong finally joined the Undisputed Era, which really very good. Um, that's another one that's just I'm so looking forward to seeing how this plays out. But that match was really good too. All 6 men, top world class talent, and they're really making it look fantastic. So we'll see what winds up happening with all 6 of these guys. Right now, I'm kind of looking over at the screen, and they were showing Goldust and Jeff Jarrett in the crowd, which was a cool touch too. Obviously, they're gonna have the representative for Dusty's family being there, and yeah, that's really it for the NXT tag titles. Let me put this out there too. I actually really liked it that they didn't do a lot of crowd shots from what I can recall. But they did a lot of crowd shots of like other people that were there. Again, Ronda and her other teammate for Shayna Baszler's title win. But like every takeover, it seemed like they had a new team to kind of shine the light on, whether it be or person, whether it be you look at Drew McIntyre, you look at EC3, Ricochet, War Machine, a lot of these other talents. Like, oh, this is the guy that you can look forward to seeing coming to NXT. Who else is there to grab? I mean, there's a lot of other guys, but it really it was a good thing. The event ran 3 hours, which is not typical of the NXT Takeover shows. They run about 2 hours, but this was like again one of the best 3 hours of wrestling I've ever watched, and it was just so good. But yeah, that tag match it filled its purpose. It told a story. It furthered story. It really was very good. So again, kudos to these 6 men for putting on another tag team classic. No pun intended to the Dusty Cup, but that was so good. Then you have the NXT Championship match between Andrade Cien Almas and Aleister Black. Now, these two have wrestled before at a previous takeover. I'm pretty sure it was Black's debut, if I'm remembering right. And they really, up until this point, Almas has had 2 takeover title matches. One when he won the championship. When he won the championship against Drew McIntyre, that was an excellent match. And sorry, just somebody posted something funny on my Facebook. So we already knew that these two were capable of fantastic matches, but Almas has had 2 5-star matches with McIntyre and then his title defense with Johnny Gargano, which is still to me one of the best NXT title matches period ever. And dare I say, one of the best main event championship matches ever. Meaning, of like the main titles, like a world championship type match, like the belt. That's one of the best performances from both men ever. So for me, it was kind of like, all right, well, how does Almas top the NXT Philadelphia match with Johnny Gargano with a guy that we already know that they're capable of a fantastic showing? And this was another 5-star match that was really so good. It was so fast paced. Now it's funny because let me just digress here for a second. For all the people that are like, well, wrestling's fake, shut up. We get it. We know what wrestling is. That's great. But if do you watch a movie and be like, oh well, I'm thinking of a movie with Mark Wahlberg as like a former hitman or CIA agent. Are you going to be upset that, oh, well, Mark Wahlberg's fake, he's not a real agent, he's not this, he's not that, or this actor? Do you complain about that when you watch your favorite movie? Charlie Sheen's not really a baseball pitcher. Do you complain with that? This is all a show. Excellent, and if you took the time to really comprehend like what these men and women put themselves through to be in great physical condition and cardiovascular condition, then you would be like, okay, this I respect this. Because you look at this match with Andrade Cien Almas and Aleister Black, they pretty much went non-stop for their whole match. And it was fast-paced, it was consistent, it was so incredible. And, you figure this is a world-class affair now. Because you got Aleister Black, who's from Holland, and Almas, who is from Mexico. It's really, NXT has become like the greatest melting pot of diverse styles, and they work so well together, and how these men and women work. And this was one of those matches that really showcased of like what they have as far as like their top contenders, their top talents. And all the talent, really. And you look at guys like Velveteen Dream, Street Profits, Heavy Machinery. I mean, you look at other talents that they have, Sullivan, Dane, that they pretty much, I mean, not Dane necessarily, but people that are being brought up through their system, whether, that they're not like a super indie that they're coming in, or even a relatively big indie name that they want to bring in. These talents that are going through the Performance Center are getting the best exposure of everything. Like, one of the best things that talents are being told is travel all over you can and learn different things. It'll make you a better talent. These guys and girls at the Performance Center are getting all of that from the people that they hired to be coaches or whatever it be, behind the scenes people, or even just the talents that they're bringing in. Like, they're getting so much from the Performance Center. And Almas and Black are the two of the best examples of like just what a clash of styles in a match could really do for the performance for the overall product. And it's absolutely fantastic. This match was so good. Again, all over the place, consistent. And then the involvement of Selena Vega. She really was the best mouthpiece that Almas could have for his character and how she is. Very fiery. Brought out a different guy in Almas. And her interferences were good too. They weren't like, I mean, got to be a lot, but they were well timed. And every interference had a purpose. And at each time that she interfered, it's like, shit, this could be it. Then the end of the match, when, I think it was Percy Watson that put it in the way of, went to the well one too many times, and it ultimately cost Almas the match. And now your new NXT champion is Aleister Black, who years ago wouldn't have been a typical world champion of any sort in WWE. And look at tattoos all over the place. I mean, all right, CM Punk is one example, but you look at how far they've come from, like, the muscle guys to the clean guys. Now that their champions are being tattooed, and this, it was really it's cool to see that they're really, that Triple H or whomever is taking the chance on these guys in the NXT's World Championship division, I'll call it that, to see if they could really perform as a main eventer and to do that kind of stuff. Because if these guys and girls are, if these guys are going on the main roster, they got to, ultimately they have to see what they have, right? So, and everybody, I mean, I don't remember too much like of the early NXT days. I mean, it's not to the spectacle of what it is now, so it's a lot different than back then when Rollins won it and Big E was the NXT champion and Bo Dallas. It's so different. Now you're performing in front of in these takeovers, crowds of like 16, 17,000 people, and it's a bigger stage now, especially with the way NXT is. So you got to see how these people perform, and they're putting on amazing matches consistently, night in, night out. They're hungry. They know they're that good, and they're showing it to the world, and it's fantastic. And Aleister Black, I'm interested to see what goes on here. Almas, if he does go to the main roster, within this week after WrestleMania, he'll be another great addition to whatever roster he would be on. I would hope he would be on SmackDown, but that's just my opinion. It'll be great to see what they do. Hopefully, maybe they'll get a rematch. That would be nice. But now with how Vega pretty much cost Almas the match, is he going to digress again in character? Is he going to improve even more? Like, screw you, go away, and then she'll bring in another guy that will feud with Almas. That would be pretty cool too. We'll see where it goes. With this show, and I'll preface this with the next match again. With this show, it really, you have so much more. You have so much to look forward to because now you're curious. Again, where does Adam Cole go now that he's the first North American champion? Who's going to be his first contender? How is this going to work? Undisputed Era as a whole. Now you have Roderick Strong, who basically helped Undisputed Era retain the tag team championships. Are certain people going to go to the main roster, or are they going to continue certain things here? Ember Moon is another thing. What are they going to do with the women's division? So this is all great. And the biggest question where this kind of pertains to is the match that was the main event of the evening, and deservedly so, because this story between these two guys has gone on for about 2 years, if not a little over 2 years, between Gargano and Ciampa. And I say that because, they came up as the tag team, like they were put together. Then they had to figure out a name for themselves, like, we're gaining momentum, maybe we should come up with a name. They came up with DIY, then they won the tag team championships, NXT TakeOver Toronto, in one of the best victories ever. The match was fantastic as well. And it really helped put those two like on the map of a different level by winning those tag team titles. And then ultimately they lost, and then that's when their feud began, when Ciampa turned on him. And it sucked that he got hurt right away, meaning Ciampa. But they made it work. Between Gargano wrestling with Almas and Vega's, throwing DIY shirts at him, and they kept it fresh in the minds of everybody, whether it be through the commentary or whether it be through little things like that. Again, throwing the DIY shirt at Gargano in the match or whatever. They kept it fresh so that when Ciampa was finally able to come back, and he came back at NXT TakeOver Philadelphia to hit Gargano with the crutch after the match, just insult to injury. And then the feud that has kind of gone on from then to now is nothing short. You don't get this anymore on WWE TV or really in wrestling, where you have a guy in Ciampa who is white hot as a heel, where they're chanting "fuck you, Ciampa" at a WWE show. And again, little attention, extreme attention to detail in this match. Having Ciampa come out to no music so that you could feel the hatred from the fans coming in on him. He can get all the boos and the chants that came after him, and then the Gargano came out obviously to a huge pop. He's white hot as a face. Like, you couldn't have two. It's so perfect. You have Ciampa who's white hot as a heel, Gargano white hot as a face. Like, it worked out so brilliantly. And the way that feud and the story between those two have gone on for so long, it worked. And the payoff with this match was so great.